Okay, good afternoon everybody. My name is Joey and I'm going to be doing this video on a 2005 Chevy Silverado that I've been having some trouble with here in the last few weeks. What it's been doing is, from a dead stop up to about 30 miles an hour, it will do like a chirping noise. And it starts off low and then it kind of gets to a faster pace and finally goes away. I looked up different things. I can't find nothing on it as far as what it's doing. I can't tell if it's universal joints or if it's bushing. It almost sounds like a rubber rubbing against metal kind of thing. What I was going to do is walk beside it as someone else drove it, but I've got it up on a jack right now with one wheel off the ground, and it's going to do it here. I'm going to try to get up under there and see where it's coming from. I'm going to show you guys what it's doing, and then I'm going to, once I find out what it is, I'm going to tell you guys what it is, because I've seen some other posts on this subject and nobody has really had any beneficial information to tell me what's going on. So I don't know if you guys can hear this, but this is the noise, and I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. Thought it was coming from originally from the driver's side, but it's not. I said, well, it's coming from the passenger side, but on closer inspection, it looks like it's coming from the drive shaft, because the drive shaft and the wheel here is the only thing spinning. My daughter's got her foot on the brake. It's in drive, barely spinning. So I'm having trouble isolating exactly where it's coming from, but the best I can tell is this coming from the universal joint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the truck, I'm going to shut it off, put it in park. Actually, I'm going to shut it off and put it in neutral, and I'm going to take the drive shaft and I'm going to rock it and see what it does, and see if I can see any play in the universal joints. Okay, so I shook the drive shaft. I could not tell exactly where the noise was coming from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the jack down. I'm going to let the other wheel up on the left side, and I'm going to do the same thing, get one wheel off the ground, put the truck in drive, and lightly press on the brake and see if I can replicate the noise on the driver's side like it is on the passenger side. That would eliminate the brakes on this wheel or any suspension on this side. So I'm going to do that and see if the noise still continues. If the noise continues on the other side, I always thought it was kind of a rotational thing, and it could be the drive shaft or the universal joints. So I'm going to take and do the same thing I did with this side on the driver's side and see what it does, and if the noise continues, I'm going to pull the drive shaft out. Okay guys, so here we are on the driver's side, rear wheel, an 05 Silverado 1500, and as you can hear, the noise is doing the same thing over here that it was on the passenger side, and it sounds like it's coming from the middle of the truck, which is kind of telling me that it's a universal joint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the truck up on some stands, and I'm going to pull the drive shaft out, and we're going to see, because I can't tell if there's any play. There's no real noticeable play in the universal joints at all. When I had it up in the air, had it in neutral, and was rocking the drive shaft back and forth, there was no real noticeable play in the cups. Could be that the needle bearings in the cups are dry. It's kind of my speculation, but and they're non-serviceable. So in this particular truck, it has the factory universal joints in there. There's no grease fittings on there, so it's not like I can take some grease and shoot in there and see if they're dry and lubricate them. So we're going to go ahead and continue with pulling the drive shaft out. Okay guys, I got it up on the ramps here. One thing that it did, that it has done a couple times throughout this whole issue here that I've had with it, is as my daughter was pulling it up on these ramps, it popped, and that pretty much to me is a clear indication that the universal joints are bad. It's probably got a broken needle bearing in there, or maybe several broken needle bearings, potentially, you know, from it running dry because they're non-serviceable. So that just kind of reaffirms what I was thinking about the universal joints being bad. So we're going to go ahead and pull the drive shaft out. Okay guys, with the drive shaft out, I've got it here on my bench, and I'm going to be checking it for signs that universal joints are bad, and that's what I was looking for all along, was a clear sign that something was bad causing that chirping noise. Now I mentioned in the video a minute ago that I heard a popping every once in a while when I put the truck in reverse from park or vice versa, and that only started in the last maybe week or so. Before that, all it was just the chirping, and the chirping was real light at first, and then it got louder and louder. Like I said, mainly from a dead stop on up to about 30 miles an hour, then it would quit. Now this is the back of the drive shaft here. This is the universal joint, and what I was looking for, this is an aluminum drive shaft, so it's very, very light, very, very easy to get out. And so what I'm looking for is side-to-side play. Pardon me, there's mosquitoes flying around. I'm looking for side-to-side play like that, which there is none. It seems to be really tight. And so I pulled the caps off a minute ago, and inside these caps you're going to have needle bearings. You have to be very careful with them, because when you take them out, they're very small, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but they will get out of alignment, and they're really hard to get back in unless you have some grease and some patience. So looking at these, I've already pulled this end off, and there's really nothing on this end that is of cause of concern. Everything seems to be tight. Now on the other end, it's a different story, and this is where I think my problem is, and it's where the issue was coming from on the noise. These joints are supposed to move the same in every direction. Like this is really smooth right here, it's really fluid, and I'm going back and forth, and I don't see any noise or any play rather. I don't see any play here going from side to side. If it is, it's very, very minute, very not very much at all. But now this joint is not only supposed to go up and down, it's supposed to go side to side. It goes side to side very good, but I want you to listen to this. And it's hard to move because I'm having to brace myself against it. This joint, you hear that popping? And it's very hard to move. And so that tells me that inside of this joint, inside one of those caps, there appears to be some needle bearings that have broke. You can actually see the play there, and it's really, really bad. So I know this joint here is bad. I'm going to go ahead and replace both of them since it's out. I'm going to go ahead and replace both of those, and I'm going to also go ahead and replace the front transmission seal. I'm not going to replace the rear because I hadn't got to take the yoke out. That would be a lot more work. But being that I've got to slide this yoke here back inside the transmission, I'm going to go ahead and replace the seal that goes around this yoke, because it would be crazy not to replace it. It's only probably 10 bucks. It'd be crazy not to go and replace this seal as well since I'm there, because if it goes out 2 weeks from now or next month or 6 months from now, I've got to pull this drive shaft back out again. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But to answer you guys' questions, I'm pretty sure this is the problem. I'm going to go ahead and take this off and take it apart, take the caps off, and we're going to make sure that that's exactly what it is, but pretty sure it's universal joints. Okay guys, so this is the result I was looking for. This is the end that I thought was the one that was having trouble, and it was. As you can see, this is the first cap that I pulled off. I'm not going to film the rest of them because you can see what the result is. Basically, this bearing has been running dry for a long time, and all this, there's no needle bearings in here at all. Everything here, there's one needle bearing right there. You can see it's right there. All this rust and particles is what's left of the needle bearings that's in there. So just want to do this video for you guys. If you have a chirping noise in the rear end of your Chevy Silverado, which it could be maybe another vehicle too, but I couldn't find a video on this subject anywhere that really showed any definitive answers to what it was. There were some threads that I read on posts that were online that had a few suggestions. They said, you know, check universal joints, check your springs, check your exhaust hangers. Nothing really definitive. Nobody ever come back and said yes it's this or no it's that. So I want to do this video. It's the first one I've done, but I hope you guys find this helpful. That if you have a chirping noise in your Chevy truck from 2005, it may be earlier, it may be later as well, but if you got a chirping noise that only does that when you take off from a dead stop, and then it goes away after about 25 or 30 miles an hour, I would start with universal joints and check them, because that's what it was with mine. Alright guys, thanks for watching.